Hi there, Christina here. I just want to spend a few minutes with you to share some cool information that I've learned about learning and about brains. Something that's probably pretty common knowledge is being dehydrated drops our brain function. For every 2% our body is dehydrated, our brain function actually drops 20%. So it's super important if you are going to be doing any learning or any thinking where you're going to have to be engaged or remember what you're talking about. It's a pretty good idea to make sure you're hydrated. That will help your brain to function overall. Some other cool information that I learned about brains, is that if you compare our brain to a computer, and a computer's got all these wires in it, and on each wire it's coated with a plastic cover. Basically, if our brain is the computer filled with the wires, the plastic cover is called myelin, and that basically prevents all of the wires from overheating in the computer while it's working, similar to how it is in the human brain. And I thought that was really interesting. And something I realized that I wasn't making and forming memories when I was having times when I was really stressed out or having a heightened sense of emotions. And the reason for that is that just like a computer, our brain, it can't do every single function at once. It would overheat. It would melt down. So when you're really stressed out, your brain is and your body is sending out cortisol, and it's really focused on taking care of whatever that stress is, and the memory forming and the thought process, that all kind of gets put on the back burner, because when the cortisol starts and the stress happens, our body starts to turn into fight or flight. And once you're in that fight or flight mode, it is games off. You are not going to be able to learn and retain new information. And I've lived that. I know that is how it works for me, for us, for humans. So if you're going to be trying to learn, you're not going to want to be stressed out. So reducing stress is pretty key to learning. I've learned that there are 4 basic levels of learning, and that the really cool thing about our brains that allows us to learn is called neuroplasticity. It's basically how the brain adapts to new learning. And thanks to that is how I've been able to get better by rebuilding these brain pathways. And so the first level of learning is kind of like you come up to a freshly snowed field and you have to walk across it. So you're just trudging along. You're breaking path. You don't know if it's going to be deep or wet or damp or however crunchy or whatever the snow situation is. So first time you go through it, you don't know what you're doing. You're just doing it. The second step is you go back and you're realizing that, oh yeah, I'm not actually good at walking through the snow. I've never done this before. I'm tripping, I'm stumbling, I'm encountering parts where my foot sinks down. And so that part gets a little frustrating. And that is where people have a tendency to stop. They give up. For myself, when I was younger, wanted to learn how to play the guitar, and I didn't know how to do it. No one does when they first start. But when I started, I tried a few times, and it was too hard. So my brain justified all these reasons why I couldn't do it. It wasn't for me. And that's our brain's job. It's on our side. It wants to justify everything. So the key to learning is to push past that second stage where everything's awkward and you don't really know what you're doing, and get to the third stage, which is where you're repeating it. You're going over it again and again. You're facing that frustration, but you're doing it. And the cool thing about that is, in that phase, when we're facing that frustration again and again, our brains, they're starting to work harder, and our brains begin to produce myelin during this time. So it's a really key time to when you're learning, which I thought was really cool. So Another side fact is Einstein, he had not the largest brain in the world, as one might think, but he had a really large amount of myelin. So I thought that was kind of interesting fact as well. And so back to the snow, if you're going through snow more than a few times, like if you're walking to school or work or whatever and you're trudging through, the third or fourth time you're going through it, you've beaten down a path. There's less snow drifts coming in, and you know the way a little bit, and you're not going to stumble, and you keep persisting and persisting, and then eventually you get to the fourth level of learning where you just know it. It's second nature. You could walk with your eyes closed. You're texting, you're carrying your coffee and your purse and whatever you got, your backpacks, whatever. You're just walking through it, and there's not a problem. You're just, you know how to do it. You know how to do it. You're not even worried about it. And yeah, so that's pretty cool. There's so many levels of learning and so many different aspects to the brain that help encourage us learn. Yeah, that's about all I have for today. Tune in next week and I'll see what else I can share with you that you might find fascinating. Bye.